Jon and John in the morning. We're back, 9:30 a.m. Number to call, 718-990-6126. We have our special guest, Peter Schwartz. He's an anchor and reporter for WFAN Radio and Sirius XM. He's also the Jets beat reporter and writer for Jets Confidential. Peter Schwartz, good morning, and how are you?
I'm doing well, guys. How are you?
We're good.
How you doing, Peter?
Good.
All right, so Peter, obviously a heartbreaking game for the Jets this past weekend as they weren't able to get the job done against the Patriots. In that game, I feel like, there was a feeling that Rex Ryan was playing scared of Tom Brady, and he was working the game plan around him. Do you think that that Brady dictated the late game play calling?
Yeah, I certainly think he did, and I think when people said the Jets were scared, I think that was probably a bad term to use. I don't think you're ever scared when you're a football team. I think Pee-wee teams might be scared of players on other teams, but I don't think NFL teams are scared. I think the better word is conservative, and I think the Jets were ultra-conservative when they got the ball back after kicking the field goal to take the lead late in the game. They got that turnover after tying the game, and I thought they were a little conservative on that drive as well. But I think conservative is probably the better word, not scared.
All right, and I know Rex did, he also claimed that they weren't scared as well. But, and late in the game there, they decided on their last drive, they decided to rush the ball 2 times in a row instead of trying to pass the ball. And the Patriots' pass defense, they're in the cellar over there.
Yeah.
Do you think that the play calling wasn't up to par there?
I think the play calling was pitiful, to be honest with you, and I think they were. I think they called the wrong plays at the wrong time. For example, when they get the ball to start the second half, and they're down 16-10, and they drive the ball down the field, and they have like a 3rd and 1 from the 2-yard line, and they pass. When they've been running the ball the whole game against the Patriots, right there. You had Tebow on the field to start the drive. That situation called for Tebow to be in the game, run, get the first down, and maybe you take the lead with a touchdown there. But they passed and had to settle for a field goal. Now they get the ball back after they tie the game. They get the ball on the turnover, and they run it twice. And that to me just didn't make any sense. Aside from the one bad pick that Mark Sanchez threw in the game, I thought he played very, very well. So you had a pretty hot quarterback there in the second half, and you get the ball back. Now, here the other thing too is I don't think there was any problem in settling for a field goal there, but you had to pass the ball. You had to get a first down because you left way too much time on the clock for Brady, and I think that's where the Jets messed up there at the end. There was no shame in settling for a field goal, but kick the field goal with 30 seconds left in the game as opposed with 2 minutes left in the game.
Now, Peter, John Perez here, and Peter Schwartz joins us. The problem that I had with this game, too, and you mentioned, you hit it right on the head, was that Mark Sanchez was hot that second half. But how much of the blame should the defense get? Now, let's remember, as sporadic as Mark Sanchez has played, the defense, they get paid, too, and regardless of who's on the other side of the ball, and, Brady's going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, but at the end of the day, you still need to make a stop.
Well, there's no question about it. And yes, the defense has to take a tremendous hit for this game. Again, how many times have we seen this Jets defense give up, big drives at the end of games? It happens all the time. And the other day was troubling in the sense that the defense actually played very, very well while the offense was struggling in the first half. The defense kept the Jets, in the game. And all of a sudden, the Jets kick that field goal, they take the lead, and now this defense that has been aggressive all day, that has been solid all day, that is putting pressure on Brady all day, all of a sudden they stop that, and they go into, I don't know if it was exactly a prevent defense, but they were certainly giving Brady the middle of the field on that last drive, and here it was the whole game. He can't, complete passes to his big guys. Now all of a sudden they're open, and the Jets are letting him dink and dunk down the field, and all of a sudden, boom, Gostkowski ties the game. So I think a lot of blame has to go on the defense too. There's enough to go around. The shame of the whole thing is, guys, that the Jets played well enough to win this game. Probably should have won this game, and they didn't.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, Peter. And you mentioned the defense about how much they trust him. Do you think that it's more important that they're trusting the defense or that they give Mark Sanchez a little bit more trust there? Because it seemed like they didn't, they couldn't trust him as far as they could throw him yesterday, 2 days ago.
I mean, they do have to trust him a little bit more. He is their starting quarterback, and as long as Rex Ryan maintains that he's the starting quarterback, they have to trust him. Now, having said that, Tim Tebow is a member of this team, and you have him on the team for a reason. You have him on the team to run the Wildcat. You have him on the team, to convert. I mean, there were plays in the game that, the one play earlier in the game where Tebow converted on the third down. I mean, that situation in the second half called for him. So I think the problem here is the Jets have this guy on the team in Tim Tebow, and they don't really know how to use him, and they're not showing enough confidence in their number one quarterback, Sanchez. I thought this situation could work, but clearly the Jets really don't know how to handle this and how to use Tebow, and I think that's causing a lot of problems.
Now we have Peter Schwartz here of WFAN. Do you think, Peter? Do you think that the Jets will try and stick with Mark for the rest of the year through thick and through thin, or is there still a serious Tebow time potential here?
It's a great question, and I think if Rex is true to his word, then no. Mark Sanchez is the starting quarterback. They're paying him a lot of money. They drafted him 5th overall. He is their starting quarterback, and let's be honest. I mean, the way the division is right now, the Jets are 3-4. They're a game behind the Patriots. The rest of the AFC is not that great, aside from the Texans. The Ravens are all banged up. There's not much to speak about out west. The Jets are in this playoff race right now. As we speak right now, the Jets are a playoff contending team, just not because they're that great, just because of their record and where everybody else is, and they're still in contention to win the AFC East. So as long as they're in this situation and their schedule gets a little bit easier now here coming up after the bye week, you got to stick with Sanchez as a starter. Again, he played well this past week. He played well last week in a limited role. I don't think you can make the change because, let's be honest, I mean, if you change and go to Tebow now, there's probably no turning back to Sanchez. You probably have to get rid of him because you've lost him at that point. So, and I think, listen, I don't think much of Tim Tebow as a starting quarterback in the NFL. So, if Tebow is the answer to the question, it's a stupid question.